Hi, welcome to this episode of the Soul Legacy TV podcast and radio show, The Soul Legacy Movement, with me, Iona Mead, founder of the Soul Legacy Academy.com. So I am your host for the Cheers to Financial Freedom Frequency Telechat series for Soul Guided Entrepreneurs. And I have a very special guest in with me, who I'll introduce in just a second. I have been featuring legendary light leaders, I like to say, who have been joining me from all over the world, literally blazing the trail and illuminating the pathway for you for soul path alignment. So we've really dived deep and shared gifts and shifts and our dark nights, really. In all honesty, we've shared dark nights, we've shared insights and all of the things, all the myths, all of the barriers that we've experienced. We've been really open and sharing with you. So I'm sure that this episode is going to be the same. So I'm going to introduce my very special guest, Laura. Welcome, Laura.
So good, both the same.
Yeah, Laura, how are you?
I'm good. It's so nice to be here with you.
Thank you. Tell us where you are featuring from. Where are you in the world?
Where am I? I am in a little village out just over the water from Liverpool in the UK.
Yay! I'm like, yes, I've got guests from the UK. So I'll give you an introduction. And guys, if you have any questions, any comments, anything that we mentioned will be down in the links below or in the show notes or in the description. So feel free to multitask and comment and let us know how you find the show and how you're resonating with it. So Laura has been working as an energy healer and a spiritual mentor for several years, helping hundreds of people through emotional blocks and positive transitions. She is now continuing to share her work on a wider scale, offering meditations, free meditations, and YouTube videos. So we will leave the link so you can get all of that and Google her name because she's amazing. And so she's creating online courses to inspire your spiritual practice and deepen your relationship with the divine. I love that. So if you're not familiar with the Cheers to Financial Freedom frequency, I will share that as we move on. But that spiritual connection, that relationship with yourself, it's so in alignment to raising your vibration and just showing up as the best version of you. So Laura, you are definitely the best person to talk about this. Can you share with everyone how you've come to, one, being an energy healer, and two, really tune into the heart space and then give your gift out to hundreds of people in the world?
Yeah, when you say it like that, it's gosh, it feels quite big. But yeah, so really I feel like I didn't choose energy healing chose me.
Yes.
Yeah. And it continues to, and I've gone through many stages of rejecting it and denying it, and then it will come back. So I was kind of getting out of a really toxic manipulative relationship at the time, and I ended up moving from place to place. I stayed in a Buddhist center for a while and started meditating, and that's when I really started reconnecting back with spirit again. And then I decided to leave, and I was like, I'm going to leave my job, I'm going to leave everything, and I'm going to go live in this little house in the countryside with just a month's worth of money to get by. And I ended up living with a Reiki master who is quite a well-known author, and ended up living with her, and she gave me energy healing training for free. Wow. So I took that as a gift, and as a gift back, I ended up offering energy healing sessions for free as well. And I was doing a lot of it distance, like online. And I wanted to offer people something more because it was still all new to me. I mean, I could feel the energy running through me, but I still felt like I needed to give the people that I was working with a little bit more. So I would offer energy healing readings as well. And that's when I started tapping into more of my intuitive and psychic abilities. But anyway, after that, I remember just freaking out and being like, no, I'm not a psychic. I can't do this stuff. And I put it down. And then a couple of months later, I was walking down the road and I found a stack of energy healing training manuals on the road right in front of me. And I was like, okay, Spirit, I'm not going to give it up. So I literally picked it back up again.
Wow. Let's talk about alignment, literally. Oh, wow.
Yeah, just kept on shoving it in my face. And so I still wanted to give something more. So I studied coaching and combined my energy healing alongside coaching and did that for a while as well. But yeah, so that's how I initially got into it.
Oh, I love that. And guys, you resonate with that. Like, you kind of stumble across it and it literally finds you. I believe in that, because sometimes we go out there and go, I want to find my purpose, and it kind of finds you, it bubbles up inside of you, and the circumstances and the events that happen in your life, then all of a sudden it's like it just is literally in front of you, and you can't then go any other way but forward with it and pick it up as you did. And I love that you say that, you know, you do this stuff for yourself first, and you feel what it is that you're doing on a deep level. Tell me how you got into like the heart space. Like, you have a community now called the Heart Space, right? And you're talking about your heart and your body. Tell me how that journey unfolded, and then we'll introduce your gift.
Yeah. And I've just remembered you asked me the second part of that question was how I managed to bring that out into the world. But also, yeah, just something that I touched upon then is, you know, if you're watching this and you are trying to figure out what your purpose and your gift is, what was interesting for me is it was something I kept on rejecting, and I knew it was something I was fascinated about and that I loved. And, you know, energy healing was something I did since I was younger. I remember doing hands-on healing for my dog when my dog fainted and she jumped back up, and I'd carry dead bees into the house all the time, trying to bring them back to life, and silly things like that you do when you're a child. But yeah, so it's just fascinating that it's something that I also was scared of and rejected, and that was kind of a clue as well to what you're here for sometimes. But yeah, how I got myself into a place of sharing it on a wider scale. Oh my gosh, how did that come about? I think
the heart, because I know that we'll talk about the free gift, but it's like, so I know you talk about pain. Let me introduce the gift, and then we'll dive into how you express it. Because for me, we say love, and everything is love, and return to love. And then we've got so many emotions and so much stuff triggering us that we don't necessarily feel like we're in that heart space.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's going back to that. But guys, Law brings this gift, and we would have, if you've seen the telechat series, we would have had Meg Cerney in actually sharing a gift, but we haven't. We've got Law for the duration of this telechat series. So this episode, your gift, you actually have a 4-part series. What I know that one is on video. Is it all on video?
No, it's all audio.
It's all audio. So it's these 4 lessons, and you call the heart body, which I'm really fascinated about where the name came from. And it's about moving from heartache to heart awake. And I think that's where I was prying, like, where did the heartache come that you felt like that awakening? And I've had a lot of heartache and a lot of pain in my life. So walk us through that space from that, because I feel like we go through, and you guys might resonate, go through a certain thing, and then that's the thing that leads us that breakdown to breakthrough, or that wounds into wisdom, as I say.
Yeah, that's totally it. That really resonates with the heartache to heart awake. I mean, when I first started out as an energy healer and a coach, which was several years ago, my story really was, you know, the catalyst for how I got into what I was doing was because I was sexually assaulted and nearly lost my life. And that made me realize life is so precious, and also how much I've been denying myself, rejecting myself, attacking myself. I was my own worst bully. I was my own worst enemy. And not to say I was to blame for the situation, but I had attracted abuse after abuse, violent, dangerous situation after dangerous situation. And that was just because I didn't value myself. And I felt like I felt like I was worthless, and I continued to put myself in situations that emphasized that I was worthless.
Right.
Until I got to a point where I was sitting in a car, possibly going to die. And out of like complete divine intervention, I was completely guided by my higher self, guided all the way back home. And that was another thing that brought me to attention, that we do have guides and we do have energy supporting us, and totally heard word for word how I was to get back home to safety.
Really?
So you are right. There was an awakening that really triggered the whole journey. So there was that, which was wanting to make the most of my life and this second chance, and just giving thanks for Spirit just giving me this second opportunity. But at the same time, I was massively struggling with post-traumatic stress disorder, panic attacks. And, you know, I still kind of suffer from that a little bit today, but the only reason why I'm able to continue is because of meditation and because of the connection that I have with Spirit.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for being so open. I got goosebumps. We'll have to share like our journey of how we've come together and how we popped each other as well, because we know each other well in the sense of that connection.
Absolutely.
And so you saying that you obviously to detach the blame, but then knowing that actually these are repeating patterns, this situation has contributed to the patterns that are playing out in your life. But at the time, you're just making those decisions and wondering why life is showing up the way that it is. So if you guys resonate with that, let us know, because sometimes when we're in pain internally, we don't necessarily, it's not apparent, it's not like obvious, like this is going on because of this, or I have a choice now to change and to value myself. Like that process, I mean, it can feel quite heavy. Like, how do I turn this around? How do you almost expect of yourself certain behaviors and certain traits, rather than I expect this glorious life that I'd really like to have, but like all this stuff comes into my world. So I love that you talk in your training. So it's a 4-part training. So you guys get the first part for free. And I love that you gift us that. Thank you. So you talked about meditation. And I don't know about you guys, if you resonate with this, sometimes, and I do meditation, but I'm not necessarily consistent at it. And sometimes you drop off, or sometimes you don't necessarily feel the power of it instantly. So it's like, well, is this working? I can't stop my mind. So what's your approach in your teaching?
Yeah, no, it's so true. And I've dropped off the path many times. And I noticed by day 3, if I haven't meditated for 3 days, I'm super nervous. My anxiety's sky high. I'm really clumsy.
Wow.
And I have to I get back on again. And as soon as I start meditating again, my intuition's back on. I'm feeling way more connected. And by day 3, I can feel the effects of that. So I definitely know what it's like to drop off. So I created a video not that long ago, which is, are you avoiding the void? And sometimes we find it difficult to sit in meditation or sit in stillness, because there's something bubbling there. There's an energy that's bubbling there that we need to move through first. Because what meditation does is you're sitting with yourself, and there's often a feeling there that we've been pushing down, that it will bring it to the surface. So I talk a lot about, you know, how to move through those feelings and allow them to be gateways first that then bring you into a deeper space where you can meditate. But I now really love silent meditation, but I know that that can be quite difficult for people. So that's why I create a lot of audios and a lot of just guided meditations to bring people into that space so they can follow something. And just with like voice can be really powerful in like leading people into a certain energy and vibration as well. So I really bring that essence into meditation audios too.
I love it. I love your voice. I know that as we've been connected and I see you posting and you in your community, people say, I love your voice. You have that voice, beautiful. It's lovely. So if you've been struggling with that meditation, or you're like, well, what's the purpose of this? It's a lesson. It's not just, you know, you can click on, you can go out there and you can just listen to somebody rambling on or chanting on or doing whatever they're doing, and you kind of don't know. You talk about the science behind it, which we'll talk about that in just a second, and the heart space, the science behind the heart space. But you talk about breath as well. You really connected some of the dots for me in terms of why would you do it? Why would you do it for that long? Why would you do it consistently? And what is it really doing? What is that? And you talk about shifting your emotions, but returning to love again, which we say, you know, we're all love and we're all connected, but we kind of forget that oneness. So I love that you addressed that. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I think I love that you listened to lesson 1. You're so sweet for listening to that. But yeah, so I feel for me, like I came to a place when I created this 4-part audio series, I was actually going through my own heartache again. So before I wanted to put something out into the world, I wanted to go through it first, and I needed to heal me first. And then if it was effective, put that onto the world. Is that the same for you as well?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, I think that's so important. I'm glad you put your hands up to that. Like, and I think for me, I was like, I'm looking outside of myself for validation again. And there's still parts of me that need to be loved. And I want to feel love. I can feel it a little bit sometimes. I can feel it sometimes, but I want to feel it all the time, because I know that's who we are. We hear it over and over again. You are love. I am love. I am love, which we are. But it's like, why am I not feeling that fully for the most of the time, for the majority of the time? So that's when I made a commitment to myself, and I was like, I'm going to go to spirit first for everything, no matter what, and just heal this shit.
Yes.
So, and just like a lot of wisdom comes through when you sit in silence and you sit with yourself, because we are connected to the all-knowing divine intelligence. And when you come into that still subtle place, that's when you'll hear the whispers of divine intelligence. And with the breath, what I find really fascinating about the breath is it's the one thing that's with us, you know, constantly. It's a tool that we have constantly that we can come back to, that instantly calms us down. It brings life into our cells, but also it's connected to both the visible and the invisible, and it's connected to the conscious and the super conscious. So we can control our breath by choice. We can also just let go and let breath
breathe. Yeah.
Let breath breathe. And I feel like when you connect back with those truths, then you start realizing how incredible we actually are, and breath has its own intelligence of its own, and there's more intelligence for us to tap into. Anyway, I'm going off on a complete tangent.
No, guys, let us know. Like, no, you're not at all. And you've got the floor. So I'm listening and nodding, and yeah, definitely. And I asked about the breath and the science behind it and that connection, because you say that the heart has its own brain. So I think that's, well, I don't know how new that is, but I think it's becoming more aware. I have heard it, once you said it, I heard it, but I never explored it. Can you talk about that a little bit? Like,
Yeah.
where's the heart got a brain for us? Because that's why they say love, and that it's heart, but it's not heart as such, or it's love, but it's not all here, because we touch our heart and we connect to the heart. But yes, explain that.
Yeah, no, I think it's great, because that's why I called it heart body, because body means awakening, and body bodhi means fully open. So when our hearts are fully open, we're fully able to receive the divine flow of love that is everywhere. But yeah, so our heart has its own brain cells. So does our stomach. So does our gut. Now, this is stuff that I found out from Heart Math. So that's where you can find out more information about that. But they share how the heart energy field emanates outwards at least 60 foot from what they're able to detect, more than brain. And the brain is obviously still amazing and still useful, and our thoughts are powerful. But that's why, you know, reading into this stuff and researching into this stuff makes you realize how powerful, even more powerful possibly, our heart energy is, and how far you can reach, and how far you can have an effect in your space.
So if you're empathic, or you're like, and that immersion, so that's when they say energetic, not just the thoughts, it's the feeling, because then that radiates. Okay, yay, aha moment.
Yeah, and you mentioned empath. I know a lot of your viewers might be able to relate to that, where you get a sense of how someone's feeling. And I was a struggling empath for a long time, where I would take on everyone's energy and wonder why I felt so sad all the time.
Yes.
So just that awareness and knowing how to breathe through those emotions and releasing it, and seeing yourself as a healer. If you're an empath, you're amazing at you're amazing at kind of what's it called, receiving, because empaths are receivers, but you're also amazing at transmitting as well, just as much, so you can give off as much as you receive.
Thank you. So if you guys are empaths, which I am, which I learned on my last interview series a few years ago, because I was like, empath, like, what is that? That sounds quite dark. So I looked it up and I was like, I was like, that's me then. So who comes to you, saying empath? So who usually comes to you in terms of that heart space, like the meditations? Because I know that you do way more than that, and you talk about like your heart. What we're experiencing is a mirror of what is going on inside of us. So what is usually going on inside of people that come to you?
Yeah, I mean, I've had lots of different people from all walks of life, and but a lot of the time it's people who have this heartfelt vision that they want to share in the world, and also that they've gone through some sort of dark night, as you say, or they're going through a really tough transition, but they know they've got more inside of them that they want to share in the world. Just a lot of them are normally healers, and have gone through a lot of traumas in their life. So yeah I'd say that's probably the main.
So I know that you give the gift, and I know that you give the course. Can you share what else you do in terms of your work? What direction do you see the heart space and your community? Because I know, and from our conversation, so where we've had conversations and we put things together, and this is before the Soul Legacy TV podcast and radio show was born. It was a very different movement and a different energy. And we were saying before we came online, it's like, oh wow, just for me, where I'm going in terms of transitioning from the energy of list building and really moving and flowing with ease, grace, and flow into the energy of legacy building. That fuels my heart. That fuels me, rather than, like you say, putting on a model or putting on things, that trying them on and they don't fit. If they don't fit, then releasing them. So where do you see, what's the vision for where you want to take that energy like out in the world.
I love what you're doing, and like as you were saying that, you know, that's your natural state, to be in that movement and sharing that legacy. That's your natural state, and our natural state is love, peace, freedom, flow. Anything that isn't that isn't our natural state. So you're just, you know, you felt the glitch of where it felt clunky and wasn't quite working, and you realize that actually isn't our divine natural state. It's more legacy, movement, opening, you know, flow. So thank you for recognizing that and creating that for us. It's so needed. Yeah, I think with me, I kind of just come out of a bit of a dark night myself. I feel like I've gone through a few. I don't know whether you can have more than one.
Yes, I've had a dark decade, let me tell you. Yes.
I think I was on about my fifth.
They're not as deep because you've got the awareness, right?
Yes.
They're still painful.
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
You're so right. It's not as deep because it was so interesting. Because I think this is when we first connected, and I started having that really beautiful conversation with you where we really connected heart to heart. But at the time I was like, I know I'm really just going through something at the moment. And it was about 3 months where I just hit complete exhaustion. I was lost. I cried every single day. But I had this little voice inside of me that was like, you need to go through this. You're exhausted, because I had been doing coaching work and healing work and readings, a lot of giving, and I wasn't sustaining myself. So I needed time to recharge, find me again, and I knew that my next mission was going to be something bigger and larger.
And that's music to my ears. So big.
Yeah, and I know you probably had a similar thing, something bigger and larger coming up for you. And I'm not to say that that was small and this is big. It just, for my own soul,
the energy of it.
Yeah, and I I love one-to-one work. It's really, really special and unique for me. And sometimes spirit will give me people in the moment that I know that we've been guided to each other for a reason. But what I also love is I love poetry and writing and speaking and teaching and art and dance. And I was like, whoa, I want to do all of these things. How can I bring that into the work that I'm doing? And again, just sharing this with your audience, if they're, you know, if you're trying to figure out their purpose, yes, it's something that's heart-led and you're here to serve, but it's also mixed with that thing that lights you up and makes you feel like you.
Yeah, definitely. I love that.
So where I'm moving to not talk your head off completely, but is being able to share healing and support, not just through one-to-one, but through audio, through free meditations, through courses. So that's why I made this 4-part series in audio, so you can listen to it in headphones quite intimately. You don't have to look at a screen. I don't want people to have to look at screens because I know how painful that can be sometimes.
I actually was watching the screen. Yeah, I was watching the screen. I'm like, oh, okay. I was listening to you, and it felt like you were there with me. Anyway, yeah, go for it. Yeah, sorry.
No, don't apologize. No, I want to hear you. You are right though, because the training's on a screen-based thing, so you do kind of naturally look at the screen.
Yeah.
If you wanted to look away, you could, and feel quite intimate in the moment, and as if someone is there with you, taking you through a process. So in the audios, I take you through teaching, and then I take you through a process, and then I take you through a meditation or a prayer. And that's a way that I can share my heart and my healing with the world on a broader scale. And yeah, same of course.
So because Meg is not in today, and we'll leave Meg's gift down below as well. So you have got the floor, which is like, okay, the Telechat series is that conversation between two people. So guys, we'd love to hear your voice and add your energy to the conversation. When things happen in terms of we're doing something and we're doing something live, my internet actually went completely down for 24 hours. And instead of going on a meltdown and a total what have you, Meg held space for me, and we rearranged for today, and then we double booked. So that's why she's not here. But because I'm now feeling the energy that you say about tapping into that heart space and listening to yourself, I don't get completely freaked out by stuff that happens. And I love that you have that meditation to support you. So, and you said if you don't do it, then you feel that anxiety. I'm not in that space now where it's like, okay, everybody's going to be looking, this is going to happen. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like these kinds of, what you do really does resonate with me. Because you've got the floor, I would love, if somebody does the 4-part training with you, because I'm a big believer in taking those soul-guided action steps, and they have like maybe triggers or just thoughts or just things that they go, oh, actually, where do I go next? How do they reach out to you? And what, if they did, what is it that you take them through? Is this like a pre or a core experience until people come and work with you? What does that look like?
Yeah, no, I think that's amazing. Offering people that, that bridge. Yeah, I feel it's something that you can listen to over and over again if you needed to. But yeah, if you needed more support, you felt like more one-to-one support, then definitely reach out to me. And also the Heart Space, which you mentioned earlier, is my Facebook community, which you can come into and share, whatever it's a really lovely, warm community. I've known most of the people in there for many years, really supportive souls. And so yeah, if there was anything that came up and you wanted to share, definitely share in the group or message me privately. I'm always happy to, just engage with you in that way. And then, yeah, if you felt like you needed a one-to-one session, absolutely reach out to me.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that, because I am of that, well, let's go and get what it is that we need to do, take action. So again, the link will be down below for Laura's gift and also Meg's gifts as well. So let us know how you find that. And how we met was when you share this kind of energy was through an amazing guy who I won't name. And he then referred you on to me because I was putting out this energy and I was like, okay, do you know anyone who fits this, like just wanting to connect with like minds? So I want to honor you and say thank you for, being willing to come into my world and just accepting my invitation to come on and share and holding space for, what could be an episode that wouldn't have happened had you said, oh, well, it's not the way that we thought it was going to be. Do you know what I mean? When you're in that space and you just radiate love, you just hold space for people. So I love the way that you do that in your community.
Oh, no, thank you so much for seeing me and believing me and, just feeling like family.
Yes. Soul tribes, soul groups. So I'm going to wrap up today. I'm going to respect your time, Laura. And then ask you if you have anything to add at the end of the conversation. So I say that definitely get around the right people, definitely explore Laura's community. And this meditation and the gift that are being shared help you to raise your vibration, but I also invite you to get around the right people. So I say change your tribe, then change your vibe, meaning that you try and do all this stuff alone, but when you're doing it alone, you're creating the same mind can't create those different results unless you have that input. I'm not saying it always has to be people, but getting around people and just knowing that you're not alone is it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling. So I invite you to join me in the after show if you want to continue on the conversation, so you'll never miss a show. Subscribe to the Soul Legacy TV podcast and radio show. And my gift, which we were just talking about, and I sent Laura the gift, I was like, I'm going live for the Soul Legacy School Masterclass for Soul Path Alignment, because that is what we've been talking about. So I'm going to be wrapping up this season. We have one more week to go, one more binge watch Wednesday. We've got another episode later on this evening at 9 p.m. UK time. But yeah, this season 1 is almost over. So I will be wrapping it up with the masterclass, and we will be going live. And we're talking about the 7 steps of the Cheers to Financial Freedom frequency, and how this episode really fits in with releasing and letting go what's not serving you, so you can raise your vibration and live an intentional life. So I talk about the intentional living codes and the 7 steps of the Cheers to Financial Freedom frequency. If you are new, we talk about the Cheers model, meaning contribution freedom and health freedom and emotional freedom, right? And environmental freedom and relationship freedom and spiritual freedom and financial freedom. And it's not about just contributing out in the world. And I love that you say, Laura, that you were out there contributing, being really honest, like, I'm contributing, I'm giving and giving. And actually there's my health and there's my emotions and my relationship to myself and the finances, all of those things that when we're on this end of the scale, we might ignore other areas. So I really want to talk about that and have that conversation that you might not have said out loud. Actually, this is where I am on this journey. And just being good with allowing more in your life. So I personally feel blessed to support soul-guided entrepreneurs to manifest and maintain what I call more soul client income, soul family influence, and soul tribe impact. And we're soul family. Right, when you get into alignment with that and you are led by the heart, just magic happens. And I'm sure that you guys know that. So you can launch, lead, and leave your own legacy. And we will be having the Soul Income game, Bank 50K in 50 days in the Soul Legacy Movement Collective. If you're not in the group, then do feel free to come over to the group and join me live for that. So I say at the end of this episode, if you are new to me and you don't know that I dedicate my work to my son, he made his transition, and Laura holds space for me for that. So thank you, Laura. So he made his transition 4.5 years ago. And if you've seen episode 1, where I talk about it quite openly, and I wanted to create the Soul Legacy movement, not only for myself, for you guys, but for the people that have made their transition, and to honor and, pay tribute to them. And if you, like you said, Laura, it was almost going to be that time you thought, oh gosh, is this my time? Like, when you're faced with those moments, you kind of reassess life. So even if you haven't been faced with those moments, I invite you to really take that time to honor the people around you, honor yourself, see where it is that you are at now and where it is that you want to go. And if you are in a dark night, or if you've struggled, if you've gone through any frustration and you don't feel like there's a way out, then we are here for you, holding space, heart space. And so I wanted to say that I was stuck in fear of failure, fear of success, and fear of selling, which I know resonates with many of you. But I was also in grief, deep grief, and they're down at the lower ends of the emotional scale. So if you love Abraham Hicks, you'll know that. So I invite you to move up the emotional scale with me, one scale at a time, and move to love and freedom and joy and just appreciation, and just really live into the best version of you. So I say, if you have been through anything like Laura has, like I have, remember to turn your wounds into wisdom, right? I say, don't be a wounded light worker, and I dare you to be legend, meaning the best version of yourself. So my son used to say, my ma is legend. And so it's not because I was out there doing miracles in the world. I was just being the best version of me. So I invite you to be the best version of you. So if you have anything else to add to the conversation, I would love those parting thoughts.
First, I want to say is he's still saying that about you, that you are a legend.
Thank you.
And, you know, you are so incredibly generous with what you give. So, you know, if and when people sign up to what you do, I know that you are so generous with the value and the support and information that you share. I've experienced it myself. And also that you are an example of heartache to heart awake. And an awakened, opened heart is, you know, an open heart is soft and tender, yes, but also incredibly courageous and brave. And that's why it's really important for us to tap into the heart space. And you're making me emotional now, so so thank you so much.
Oh, you are welcome. Thank you. Oh God, I am getting emotional. So if you haven't seen episode 1, Launching, Leading, and Leaving Your Soul Legacy, I invite you to watch that. And I know that you've watched it and you've left a comment on there like, oh gosh, it's just been an epic journey for me. And I feel like it is that heart. It is that when I tap into that energy, it just feels bigger than me. It breathes. Yeah. It breathes. It just takes on energy of its own. So I invite everyone to definitely go to the show notes, the links. Let us know in the group how you found it. If you managed to do the meditation, definitely take time out of your day. You know, sometimes it's like, oh, we get busy. Definitely take the time for yourself. So we are, we're done here. Thank you so much. I mean, the time spent with you is just always magnetic. So thank you. So guys, take care and we should speak to you soon.
Bye everyone. Bye. Thank you.